Zoe Philpott, and today I'm going to be talking to you about storytelling with STEAM. Frankly, it's more of a story of how only this year I've been able to say that, because I've been storytelling with STEAM since the early 90s, and I'm going to take you through what that journey's been, but primarily it's not been called that. So I turned up in Glasgow at the university in the early 90s, just after they'd been City of Culture, and it was an extraordinary place to be. I had a theatre background, and I set up a multimedia theatre company, because that's what it was called then. And my first show was, as a student, was collaborating with an astrophysicist to do the lights, and a computer scientist to do the music, generative music. And basically, this was really embraced there. They were very excited about the potential of innovation, the arts, the future, and being a young woman in theatre, it was the perfect time. But I had this passion for technology as well. But unfortunately, when I approached my tutor, my leader, the advisor, course advisor, I said, I really want to do coding. This was in '91. And he said, you know what, you're an artistic type, and you're a girl. Don't you think you should do philosophy? I said yes. I was 19. I must say philosophy was really useful. I was terrible at it, but it was really good. So I finished up at university and immediately, within 5 years, set up a .com, because I was still passionate about technology. And I was a multimedia storyteller by then. I couldn't call it STEAM, God knows what that is at this stage. But as you can see, at this time, we were, I don't know whether as you can see, that's probably an assumption there. If you look at that tornado ahead bit at the side, I don't know if you can see the browser window, how really archaic this is. This is '99. This is our brand. We were a webcasting company way before YouTube. We were doing videos online on dial-up, where we had to give 8 kilobits to the sound because the video quality was so bad that you'd only see a postage stamp. So what I discovered here was the storytelling was all about the convergence of graphics, and it was a bit like theater because it was all about focus. Here I am with a big audience. Again, okay, it's a one-to-one lean-to environment, but everything is about directing their eye. And in this case, it was directing their eye into interacting in a live experience, albeit online. I ended up talking to the BBC and advising them on how to shoot for dial-up. Don't move the camera was basically the biggest thing. So from there, that was brilliant, but nobody really wanted to do it, so the company got bought out. It was a success story, or not a $1 billion one, though. But I went into virtual theater using gaming tech. So now I'm called a producer. I'm head of the production for an education software company. It's an amazing idea, developed at Oxford University, and I don't know if anyone here has come across Cartouche? No? Anyway, this is CD-ROM days. So we did People in Science, and it was about giving the students an opportunity to explore science through using gaming technology so they could create short films, they could really interact. It was true creative learning tools. And then we went on to science and did physics, and this was a virtual physics tool. Again, real physics, CD-ROM, and it was going into schools, and it was using gaming technology. Then I moved into museums. So now the museums and everything is getting into all this screen-based interactivity. I'm now talking mid to late 2008, 2009, and I had the honor of collaborating with the scientists and researchers at the Natural History Museum to bring to life their amazing collection of 200 to 300 years worth of specimens from all around the world. I got to almost touch the original cocoa bean that was brought back. Chocolate. And it was thrilling. It was thrilling interpreting to make accessible these very big historical human mankind building discoveries and innovations in science to the person, again, to that audience. And it's always thinking about the audience and using the technology to tell that story. But I was skint. So I transferred my skills into marketing and advertising. Because all this education, my passions are technology, education, and theater. And the education, I just paid for a wedding, and I was really skint. So I moved into, and I worked with Ford. And this is where I got to choreograph industrial robots to help sell their green technology. So again, I was working with automotive engineers, I was working with the robot engineers, and I was interpreting their stories within the brand story to accessibilizing it, if that's a word, to the audience. And this was dancing robots. I loved it. And from there, I went into doing crowd games to help develop, again, more brand stories, where 200 people got to play a game simultaneously. And they said, let's cheat it. Let's stick a guy in the back with a joystick. But no, I'm like, no, we can do this. There is the technology. If there's the idea, we can make it work. So we created sensors and all sorts, and this was 2010. And in Delhi and Beijing, that long line in there, that's a 47-meter wide screen. And the inset is effectively where you can see people waving their arms in the air to make the car move. So it was like a really base, pulled back, pared back Grand Theft Auto for Beijing and Delhi. You could actually tip the car over if you tried hard enough. So I went from robots, crowd games, into doing space hotels and cocktail clouds. And these were literally, I was collaborating in feasibility studies with artists, I'm going to get his name wrong, Bernhard Schmidt. He creates clouds within rooms. It's extraordinary. And the space hotel, I looked into how Virgin Galactic were working, worked out business models and the sort of collaborations we need to do with engineers to put a hotel in space. But it kind of became really hollow because this was really empty stuff. It was only going to reach the elite, and I wanted to get back to the people. And so I got to work with Girl Effect. And this is a project I did where I directed and helped write a script using binaural sound to recreate the experience of living in poverty for a young woman growing up in Ethiopia. And this was with Punch Drunk and Sunshine and Nike Foundation. And so it was bringing me back to where my heart was. But still, it wasn't quite close enough. And then, as Anne so kindly said, this was the Made with Code project with Google. And this really chimed. So there's the prototyping room where we're developing how to get these lights to work. And then 6 weeks later, there it is, being turned on by the Obamas. It was thrilling, and it was amazing all the people that we worked with. But I still felt that I wasn't actually telling my story, and I wanted to get back to what was important to me. I almost put in loads of photos, specifically because of all the photos I've got of all the projects, there's rarely a girl. And I'm just going to, if I've got time, I don't know how much time I've got left, but basically, statues is because what I noticed when I was walking in central London was there were no statues of women. We were surrounded with statues of men that I didn't recognize. They're mainly men who died 200 years ago, who probably killed a lot of people. And I thought, where are the statues of women? In fact, where are the women in history? And then I got looking, and I thought, they're not there. So I thought, I've transferred into marketing. Why don't I transfer my skills now to tell my story? And I'm going to do what many women haven't done before in history, in our patriarchal history we've inherited, because they were there, they're just not talked about. And I'm going to tell their story. So I came up with Ada.Ada.Ada, which is on tomorrow night. And I tell her story, the original woman in STEM, in STEAM, because she came up with poetic science. She called herself an analyst and a metaphysician. And here's her poetic science, her STEAM. She likened computers to weaving algebraic patterns like a loom weaves flowers and leaves. But there's too many women's stories to tell. So I'm creating with the team a game that is currently analog but will be digital. And this is an insight to what I'll be doing tomorrow night in Merrion Square.
It will become the tool of our imagination. It is what we ask it to divine. Therein lies the magic.
I'm just amazed of all of the tiny details that came together.
The dress and the effects with technology, I loved it.
So you are now the analytical engine. There are fewer people in technology than society needs. Ada Lovelace can be this inspirational role model.
Inspirational. It was extraordinary.
She's a great role model for all.
Such a great story, performance, lighting, music, coming from, deep to your heart.
Ada Lovelace can be the role model women and men need today to realise that technology can be for everyone.
So I'm telling this story to encourage all those future Adas to get out there and create. Thank you.
Want to be in the audience next time? Click here for tickets to Inspirefest 2017.